Joining us today on the Everyman Podcast is one of our favorite guests of all time, somebody we connect with, not only on the show, but outside of that as well.
Voice.
The official voice of the Everyman. You've definitely heard his voice in a bunch of different things we're going to talk about today.
The hope is to administer millions of COVID vaccines by this summer. But what if your shot doesn't go as planned? Although reactions are rare, the I-Team finds out why the government isn't ready to help those who suffer.
Returning to the Everyman Podcast in the Cosmic Canoe with us today, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Enrique Josephs. EJ, what is up, my bro?
Gentlemen. It's
my man.
Good to be back.
Good to have you back, boy.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. Excited to dive back in the Cosmic Canoe with the two of you guys. So
that's right.
Happy to be here.
And if you guys are, wondering who is this, these velvety golden tones that are coming out of my speakers and my AirPods right now, check out episode 85 of the Everyman Podcast. It's one of our first YouTube episodes, and it's a great background into how EJ got to where he is professionally and kind of his origin story. So if you're like, what is all this, so pause this episode, go back to that one, learn, catch up on that story. And so EJ, what have you been up to lately, man? What's going on?
Been obviously still using my voice to promote brands and things of that nature. Since the last time I talked to you guys, I'm working with some news stations, so I'm the voice of a few television news stations now.
Sweet.
One in Detroit, one in St. Louis. So that's been interesting. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with DAZN, the streaming fight
Boxing
service. I'm the voice of DAZN. I have been for the last couple of years, but
I've
with
seen
COVID,
those commercials for Canelo, and I'm like,
yeah,
all the
I did
time. It's like
Canelo.
funny, my fiance was like, actually, I think the first time you were on, when I went upstairs, she was watching like Legends of Korra, and I was like, my man.
Yeah,
I'm just it's EJ. There he is.
Yeah, I did some Legends of Korra stuff. I did the zone for Canelo, Anthony Joshua. So that's been exciting. And then I got a couple projects that I'm currently working on.
Oahu, surf, sand, and golf.
Impressive at Waialae Country Club.
It's the second leg of the Hawaiian swing. The Sony Open in Hawaii on golf.
Listen carefully. I need you to do CPR. We're gonna do this together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
When somebody calls 911,
1, 2, 3, 4.
it's the worst day of their life.
Does he have any weapons?
Someone just shot a gun and then left?
Is it still on fire?
2, 3, 4.
Every second counts. We'll always be there.
The paramedics are there.
Luke Wilson hosts Emergency Call. New series premieres Monday, September 28th on ABC.
And then I'm doing some stuff on the side. So I'm actually working with a buddy of mine who's a videographer. He does music videos for rappers, right? Local guys from Westchester. He's toured with like Tory Lanez, Meek Mill, ASAP Ferg, Amine, Buddy, and he's doing a pivot to come up with a more financially sustainable form of income. I hear him 100%, think it's a great idea. And what he pivoted to was creating bedtime stories. And that has mindful meditation in it as well, which is really cool. So before, pre-pandemic, teachers were using it in their classrooms. And oddly enough, he was using his mom and still is using his mom to do all the voiceover work for it and stuff. And then he was like, yo, we got to figure out a way we can work together, do something. It's like low impact, not a lot of work, but, can come up with extra revenue and stuff. So we actually created a podcast that we've just been working on for like 6 months. Haven't even advertised it or anything like that. And just been doing superhero story bedtime stories. So, all different types, from Fortnite to the Avengers to, Spider-Man, you name it. It's been the Justice League. So a lot of different stories for kids to just listen to, kind of get engulfed in with the, the superhero world, while also doing some mindful meditation to kind of just, our kids are high strung these days, understandably. So just giving them away and a nice outlet to just relax.
Is it your voice, or are you writing them or producing?
So I'm just voicing the superhero stories. So he has a writer on staff that is coming up with all these different stories. So I'm currently working on like X-Men, Wolverine one. There's a Black Panther one. Some are short, some are long. And we had toyed with doing some different ideas, like scary stories, but they weren't really like scary stories. So we were like, all right, let's pivot. And we came up with the superhero stories. And I think it's a great idea. So we're just, we're slowly punching away at that, just building up a catalog. And it's been pretty sweet so far. It's different from what I normally do. And I think that's what makes it so interesting for me. But it's been fun so far.
Nice.
Is that released now, or is that coming out?
Yeah, you can actually go anywhere you get podcasts. It's called Superhero Stories with EJ. It's pretty simple.
The link for that'll be in the show notes.
Yeah. So if you got kids or anything, and if you want, if they need something to listen to at night, trying to go to bed, sultry sounds about superheroes doing good deeds and good tasks. So. And I'm pretty much just walking the kids through it.
Hell yeah, dude.
It should be good. It should be good. I put myself to sleep doing it, so it's not bad.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's so cool that you're doing something fun, and creative, and also helpful. That's the goal, right?
Give it back to the kids, man. That's it. Everyman.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you kind of find your way into that? Did you just were you looking for new opportunities to do stuff in general, like on that, because that's a little bit more branched out than you have been focused on?
For sure. I think that I would say that my voiceover business is going well. There's nothing, it's actually been growing, so it's been great. I think the creative in me just wanted to do more, as DC knows, there was a point in time when voiceover work for me was part-time. It was my passion and kind of like my hobby that I was able to turn into my business, So I wanted to find something else that I could kind of do creatively to, I don't know, just keep my mind, in that creative state. Because I feel like when you stop creating, even though I create on a regular basis, doing voiceover work, I feel like creating and artistry are they're the same, but there's also differences as well, right? So I have a lot of artistry in the voiceover work that I do, but I don't think I'm actually like creating a product. I'm adding to a product, to a finished product. So I've also kind of worked as a director of photography for a short film that I went and shot back in October. It's in post-production currently right now. I was also the assistant director. So, still out trying to use my, video skills, my videography skills, trying to make sure I keep my skills sharp. So that's really kind of just what I've been up to. And
what's
obviously a lot more VO work, but it's been fun.
What's the film called?
The film is called A Day in Paradise. As a matter of fact, I linked up with a guy that used to work at NFL Films as well. He's currently working at ESPN. His name is Jean-Michel Fisher.
My guy, Fish.
Fish. And Fish and I actually just talked to him today. And we went up to Connecticut back in October, shot the film. It was great. We spent a whole weekend up there. Really interesting concept. It's kind of about two African Americans, a male and a female, kind of escaping the horrors of the Black experience in America and almost like transcending into paradise for a day. And the paradise, which they don't realize, is kind of like a loop, right? So the day kind of starts, and as the day is kind of going, and as the day comes to an end, they're actually resetting the day every day. But they don't realize that when they wake up, that it's a reset. So it's a really interesting concept. It's just to kind of put an ease of mind on kind of what's happening today kind of thing. So it was a really interesting, I was glad that he asked me to jump on it. And he had a writer for it that, meeting him was great. And, just being able to be creative and do something different and kind of hop out the comfort zone and be out in the elements. So really good time, really fun shoot. And, the project is almost done.
Wow. And where's that going to release?
Awesome, man.
He's going to release it probably on his social. He said he wants to submit it to a couple film festivals. Probably put it on YouTube. So please be on the lookout for that. It's called A Day in Paradise. And I I also did the voiceover casting for it. I was able to find another female. We needed a voice of God type thing. So, you know, I got to do some casting work, which was pretty sweet. And that's good for my business, you know, because then I can, if I need to cast something in the future, you know, it was a learning experience for me too, you know, going out, sending out the audition and working with the talent and things of that nature. So it was super dope, super great process.
Never stop learning, man.
Did I catch you right? You said you voiced God in this film, or you hired the female?
So I casted the girl to be the voice of God, but I also voiced it with her. So it's like, because God, like, you know, is God a man? Is God a woman?
Oh, I got you.
Know what I mean? That kind
of thing.
So we had a man, woman, and I mixed the voices together so that it sounds omnipresent. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I'm not going to name any names, but I have this kind of funny anecdote about people that like play like Jesus in a church play. And my father was a pastor, and you know, some 25 years in various churches, associate pastor, music, youth pastor. He's been all over the church, and you come across a lot of the same kind of when you travel through different types of churches, you know. And there's one individual that played Jesus once in a play, and it like got into his head, you know, and he like kept up with it for like a while, you know,
like after the play.
Yeah, like, you know, and it's like
real life now.
Like one of those things, like might be like playing the Joker, like it's one role, you just don't want to, you know, down that road. So I'm glad you handled it like the professional that you are.
Oh yeah, no, in and out. I'm not playing around on God's time, you know what I'm saying?
Smash and grab job.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm not messing with. I'm not messing with the man upstairs.
Yeah, it's yeah, you got to be careful, you know.
Oh yeah. But you know, it was nice because we were able to kind of derive some of the writing. It's kind of rooted in biblical text. So, you know, and some of the ideas that actually come straight out of the Bible. So it really was kind of like just taking the material that's already there and just adding voice to it. You know what I'm saying? And we try to do it in a way that it was
pretty
tasteful.
Good source material.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best, all things considered. But just you know, and I think that at first, I didn't really expect to have that much of a creative role in the project. And he kind of asked me to take on more responsibility, and I said, you know, why not? I mean, it's good. I did this. I used to do this all the time. You know, did a lot of shorts. I've worked with him on shorts before, and he was fun to work with. So, you know, it was a great process, and it was fun, a whole lot of fun.
Dude, that's pretty sweet, man.
It really is. Well, we know from, you know, friend of the show, former guest, Everyman, Rob Mickles, and his company 360 Digital Studios, like the access to quality filmmaking now, like you don't have to be in Hollywood to make a Hollywood caliber film. And especially with, you know, you start, because it's the little things, you know, that was to go to kind of piggyback on our previous conversation. Like when we connected and did that work with the trailer, that was like this little like thing, an idea that took it from a good piece of content to like, whoa, now that's memorable, you know, that like, it's like the cherry on top. And it's just, that's what's special about what you bring to anything. So it's not surprising to see you get involved in something and then kind of just, you know, bleed over into other areas of it.
Yeah, no, and I you know, I appreciate that. I think that, you know, being in college for, you know, broadcast and communications and film, it really kind of just got me wanting to work in the production side of media and entertainment. And that's, you know, that's essentially where I started. You know, coming out of college, I started teaching video production. You know, then I started at my church. You know, I did the live broadcasts, and the way that everything is set up in my church, I designed it from the ground up. And then I went to NFL Films, worked in post-production. So before I even did, you know, got my voiceover career going, I was doing all of the production stuff, and working in creative environments. And, you know, when I do VO, I get to have a ton of fun because I can be whoever I want. You know what I mean? And there's nothing more fun than that. But it's like as far as actually creation of the project, I'm more like on the back end of it. You know, I'm seeing it once it's pretty much done, and then the script is done, and
you're kind of confined to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You can't have a horror film job and do it like it's a romantic comedy just because you want to. Exactly.
So, not that I don't care, you know, it doesn't bother me that I don't have that kind of control, but it's like, you know, why not step outside of my comfort zone and just do something different and see how it goes and just be a part of the process.
Brother Jay, I gotta talk about this because we always talk about how cool it is to, and I know we're going to branch into this being prepared and stuff like that for new opportunities. But the biggest thing I'm hearing here, EJ, like you're getting back to filmography, you're getting back to production, you're getting back to where you started being producer here at NFL Films. Brother Jay, we talk about it all the time. The learning never stops, man. Like, how cool is it to just branch out, right? Get closer to your roots from where you started. We all know that your talent is in your voice, but to get back to production, to starting to learn new things and talk about that, how cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a sword and you don't sharpen it, the sword becomes dull. You know what I mean? The blade is dull. You have to keep your skills sharp. You know, that's something my dad used to always tell me. Keep active, keep doing it. Even with voiceovers, I just did a workshop 2 weekends ago. I still have, 2 coaches that I work with. You know, I feel like there's a lot that I have accomplished, obviously, and in a very short and young career so far. But there's also so much I need to learn, so much I'm trying to accomplish, more than what I already have. Not that I will ever forget where I came from or anything like that. But I mean, I feel like when you're trying to like work on your craft and your skills, like, you want to master those things, but mastery can take your entire life. So this one is for the Golf Channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the script. So this one's for Golf Channel. Figured I'd do a side-by-side. You can see how I read the copy. And then on the flip side, I will have the finished spot. With some of the best views in golf, the PGA Tour returns with the Century Tournament of Champions. January 7th through 10th on Golf.
Right.
That's not something that, 5 years
be in
like,
it for the long haul.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like at 35, like, all right, master, gold-plated status. Can't tell me nothing, and I don't want to be like that. Because, especially like in voiceovers, like it is changing. When I came in as a full-time VO 3.5 years ago, the industry was in this like colossal shift. And the shift was kind of going from the overly like announcer sound, like take like Scott Graham, right? Scott Graham is a longtime voice at NFL Films. But in today's world, Scott Graham wouldn't really book like a commercial or a conversational read because that's just not the type of, read that he brings. So even when I came into the voiceover game professionally, I had to be taught that, the way that I think about voiceovers needs to change and change right now, or I'm going to be behind. So, I have to kind of keep up with how the industry is shifting, how it's changing, what the expectations are. And that's another big reason why I still coach and train and do workshops and meet up with colleagues as much as I can and talk to colleagues. So it's a ever-changing, ongoing learning experience, and it always should be.
Well, and you want to be, you want to find that fine middle ground between reaching out too much to try and to something too crazy, and being, contemporary in what's expected. You mentioned, we've talked about kind of some of the jobs you've done, and I saw an ad for Tenant. Still haven't watched it yet. We'll get to that.
I just saw it 2 weeks ago. We could talk about that in a little bit though.
Yeah, you have to tell me about it. I have no idea what it's about. But I heard the voiceover and I was just thinking like, because I remember the story you told about like how you just had said it slightly differently. You put just a slightly different twist on it, and we're like, no, we're going with this guy, and and it's like, if you kind of got to have those experiences along the way so that oh, okay, there's another way I could go there, or maybe it's okay to take a little bit further, like maybe somebody goes with a bolder, or a different take than you would, and you'd be like, oh, I might try something like that next time. Not like that, but like I might try something that I was worried was too much, because clearly this is because when I heard that, I was like, that's pretty fucking over the top.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, actually, because the guy that did the Tenant trailer, very good friend of mine. His name is Gabe. I'm
not saying it was bad by any means.
Oh, no. I know. But as a matter of fact, I just talked to him today. And usually when we talk over the phone, we usually talk about, what we audition for. Because normally it's like 9 times out of 10, we're auditioning for the same stuff. And we're competing against each other for the same stuff. And a lot of times I book something that like he really wanted. And a lot of times he books stuff that I really wanted, so for instance, he's one of the voices of Disney Plus. And I have a guy that works at Disney Plus. He reached out to me and was like, yo, I want to get you on here, but it didn't work out. They picked Gabe. But then, I ended up becoming the voice of the MTV Video Music Awards, and Gabe really wanted, so it's like, we're always kind of neck and neck with each other. And it's great competition, but we also will talk about, all right, he got this job for Fox, and I auditioned for it too. And I was like, yo, send me your audition. I want to hear what they liked over what I did. And our reads were like very similar. Very, 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 very similar. He just read it in a much different way. And when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, that did sound better than mine. So we actually compare what we're doing when we compete against each other, and we can almost see what's working, what didn't work, why they chose this, why they chose that. And for us, it's like, okay, like we're definitely in the right zone, right? But it's just like, it's the smallest details that make the biggest difference. And that's why it's so important to like know your sound, know what you bring, and then bring it.
Telling the stories of St. Louis with Ann Allred, Mike Bush, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell, and Sports Director Frank Cusimano. You're watching 5 on Your Side at 10. Only on 5 on Your Side. Tonight at 10, only on 5 on Your Side. Tonight at 10, only on 5 on Your Side.
So it's an interesting dynamic between he and I, where we actually compare our auditions and stuff, and but we're also super tight.
And that helps, but there's also, I would imagine, at your level, there's probably quite a lot of projects flying around. There's every time I turn around, there's 5 new Netflix series. So,
Yeah. I mean, you see that, Netflix is going to drop 70 movies in 2021, a new movie each week.
I'll probably watch 8 of them, and 3 of them I'll be able to remember.
That's I don't know.
Content, man.
I got a theory. I got a theory about this. You tell me if I'm off here. But I started noticing this with some of their more recent big name movies, like the one with Ben Affleck and all the guys. It was kind of marketed as like this epic jungle gunfight, right? And then you sit there and you watch it, and you're like, there's a certain amount of time that's predetermined based on watching habits, because they know. They have all this data about us. And I've seen articles of their president talking about how they use algorithms to tell showrunners, like, hey, you got to do something like this at this point. Otherwise, this is when people tune out. And they're like, yeah, whatever, up your ass. Yeah. They're like, no, you got to show somebody's boobs at 22 minutes in or you're toast. And, they start doing that and it works. So part of me thinks there's like a perfect moment that they know you won't turn it off. So at that point, that's when all care goes away in the production, because like some of these movies are so like what happens like the last 2/3 of the movie, you're like, what am I watching this?
Well, the other
you
thing
feel like they're formulaic.
Not
that they're formulaic. It's like that they worry about a really good opening first act.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And then
sometimes I feel like the writing falls flat. You know what I
it's
mean?
like they only paid for a third of the movie, and they just let them do whatever for the rest of it to cut costs, because they can't be spending $200 million every time Will Smith wants to make a movie forever,
Yeah, or they could cut back on how many like important scenes they show in trailers.
That's true.
Because I think that you go into the movie with expectations, right? And that's pretty much what you're saying. You're coming into the movie with these expectations, and you're like, all right, this is about to be lit, and then you watch it, and you're like, all right. Now I will say, Extraction that came out last summer.
I like that
was
one.
pretty good. That one was pretty good.
When he fist fights
that was awesome.
gang of boys. Come on.
No. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Sweet.
Extraction came out. I was like, okay, this is the summer blockbuster we didn't know that we wanted. You know.
And before
I mean?
I forget, on the topic of Chris Hemsworth, he is currently training to be Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay, in the officially licensed Hulk Hogan film.
I guess that's time for a Hulk Hogan film.
Has it because Bradley Cooper is an executive producer on it, and he's been closely involved with it. And like, he was at the WrestleMania in Dallas that I was at. Shout out to Big Mike, and he was there shadowing Vince McMahon. The word is, young Bradley Cooper playing Vince McMahon.
Wow.
How tight would that be?
Dang.
Wow.
Just give him all the awards.
Good. I mean,
I don't even care how good it is. I'll watch it.
Dang. I feel like
take the day off.
I feel like it's like too soon to do like a Hulk Hogan biopic, but I guess it's not either. You know what I mean? Like I want to see, like, I would love to see like a Rey Mysterio biopic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I see the mask in the back, and like I'm like, yo, like Rey Mysterio.
I got that bad boy in San Diego. You know that? So
wow.
my lovely fiance and I actually, this time last year, we were in California right before this old pandemic started, and we had a few drunken nights in San Diego. And of course, we had Ubers and stuff. We're not doing anything stupid, folks. And we went to like San Diego's like old town or whatever it's called. Like it's like old San Diego. And we're walking around this little market square, and I see like this wall of masks, and I was like, "Oh, I got to get in there right now." And I could not decide. Like I had like 5 different masks. I ultimately settled on the Steelers colored one. And Daryl, I'm pretty sure at like 2:00 in the morning in California, I sent you a picture of me.
Mm-hmm. You did
in my camo Adidas jacket with the mask on. I was outside the hotel. I was being a hype ninja. So yeah, man, that's an authentic. I realized I was like, I'll regret it for the rest of my life if I don't get an authentic Rey Mysterio mask.
Yo, that thing is nice. That thing is sweet.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Is this sitting on top of a sword, or is that?
It's a guitar. That's a guitar.
Oh, you know what? It
kind of looks like
the hilt.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the hilt from here.
And maybe I should get a sword up there. I think you might be onto something.
Yeah, that'd be kind of sweet.
A little bit of medieval weaponry.
Yeah.
Any movies you've seen lately that are interesting to you? I've been watching. We started watching My Name Is Earl again. I only watched like the first season of that way back in the day. Good show so far. Funny.
Yeah, I used to watch. I watched a little bit of My Name Is Earl back in the day. I don't know if I ever finished the show.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that I'll finish it either. But
yeah,
so far so good.
This
might be the point where I originally tuned out.
Yeah. I actually, and I've always wanted to see this movie, and I never watched it, and I don't know why. But I just watched Catch Me If You Can. With Tom Hanks and Leo DiCaprio. And I'm just like, why did I never watch this? And it was, I mean, I love Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken, that's my guy. Amy Adams was in it. Jennifer Gardner was in it. Really, I mean, it was nice to see Leo, a younger Leo, in a really interesting role, and I just thought it was just a good movie. It was just a really good film. And but some of the newer films that I just recently saw Sylvie's Love. Sylvie's Love is on Amazon Prime. It stars Tessa Thompson and Nnamdi Asomugha, former Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah,
Nnamdi.
Yeah, it's actually
he got himself paid.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not a bad film. He's a saxophonist, jazz saxophonist, and falls in love with this girl, and it's just one of those love stories where everything kind of just happens at the wrong time. It's one of them kind of films. I thought it was really good. And then I also saw One Night in Miami. One Night in Miami was good.
Was it dope? I want to see that.
It was pretty dope.
What's that?
One Night in Miami. It's Malcolm X, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Muhammad Ali all hanging out one night in Miami.
What?
And this was still he was still Cassius Clay, and he just won the world heavyweight champion title belt. And they're all hanging out in Miami, and it was a lot of depth to the characters, and they cover a lot of things that Although that was like 1963, it's obviously very prevalent today. So really good film, really good writing. It was directed by Regina King, and it's based off of a screenplay. That's definitely one of the better movies I've seen in a little bit. So,
wow,
really good.
I'll have
really
to check
good.
that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been just watching Steven Seagal, Commander in Chief.
There's nothing wrong. We're watching some close quarter action with Steven Seagal in a bathroom stall. All right, and he's just going in.
His new. I really like breaking down like kind of his eras, like when he was like an A-lister for like a good 18 months, and his quality there versus like but hey, well, it's Steven Seagal, I'll watch it, that era.
Yeah.
To then when he was like the sheriff, that era. I think he's still technically a sheriff, and he was involved in some pet chicken accidental death when he was the sheriff or whatever, allegedly. So, but now in all his films that he has like these 2 production companies he owns that he just alternates. It's like Steamroller Pictures, and then there's this other, I forget the other one, but anyway, he's always just pissed off the whole time. And like all his characters always like, yeah, well, I told you to do that like that. That's like his one speed. He's like he's like settled into that as like, I think his final role,
Yeah.
He's just going to ride that out in the sunset. And I'm still going to turn in every time. Kind of like Nicolas Cage isn't there yet. And I love Nick Cage, but sometimes he gets into that mode where it's like, oh, I remember this Nick Cage. He was in Snake Eyes,
Yeah. Nick Cage definitely has like a hole that he kind of slides himself into in every film, and it always comes out, and it's classic Nick Cage. He'll start like kind of like he does this little snap. You guys know what I'm talking about. He'll start snapping.
Oh yeah.
And he starts going crazy, and he's like,
like
right.
the meltdowns. And it's
yeah.
Epic meltdowns.
And I always want to know, like, before they shoot that scene, does the director come up to him and he's like, I imagine him standing there, he's like with a cigarette and he's like reading the script, and he's like, Nick, now for this meltdown, I want you to go, not so much Raising Arizona or National Treasure, but like, just really maybe like a 9 out of 10, oh, I got you. No problem. And then it's like Mandy, and then he does the meltdown in Mandy. You're like, perfect.
Yeah.
That's the
or they're going up to him and they're putting their hands on his shoulder and they go, Nick, just be you.
Okay.
Yeah, just be you.
We're looking for Family Man here.
Yeah. Well, he had you take the scene from The Wicker Man.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Oh my God.
I don't even think that's his peak though.
I don't think so either. But that's a prime example.
That's most of the
meltdown.
That's most of Hollywood's limit.
Exactly.
For good reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's got that little extra that just makes you wonder.
That's why we love him.
Yeah, no, I love Nicolas Cage. Gone in 60 Seconds is still one of my favorites. National Treasure.
The Rock? Are you serious?
Oh yeah,
please.
Classic.
Welcome to The Rock. Rest in peace.
The Rock. Oh, with Sean Connery. Classic.
Rest
in peace.
Yeah. And I grew up a huge James Bond fan. Her Majesty's Secret Service, one of my favorite Bond films of all time.
Nick Cage would make a great Bond villain.
I don't know.
It might be too.
That might be a little too much. I actually think I would love to see Idris Elba as James Bond, but I would also really like.
They were
to see
talking
Tom
about that
Hiddleston.
for a long time.
Yeah, well, I think Tom Hiddleston would be perfect. Tom Hiddleston is the guy that plays Loki in Thor and the Avengers and the Marvel Universe. I think he'd be good.
I've got an unpopular opinion. I really am not a fan of these latest Bond movies. I'm a Pierce Brosnan guy. Like it's too. I think it's like this. Like James Bond was James Bond. It was this special thing, and then like all of Hollywood started to follow these action trends. Like the Bourne Supremacy and the Matrix. Like I think it really started with the Matrix, and then it kind of went from there to now where you have like John Wick, where now every fight scene in every movie, is like, Terran Tactical Elite every time. And it's like, I feel like that's what they did with the James Bond movies, where they just turned it into something that looks like every other movie. And then at some point it's like, I'm James Bond. And I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm watching a James Bond movie. Like,
I don't disagree with you.
It doesn't have that, like, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, the difference too is that Daniel Craig is the first James Bond who like gets his butt kicked in films. Like James Bond never got touched. You know what I mean? Like even when he was like Sean Connery, Timothy Dalton, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan. Like Pierce Brosnan, they were kind of leaning towards starting to get his butt kicked. But like,
and that's what I mean. It's reflective on like.
Yeah. I mean, Casino Royale to me is the best Bond film. Like to me personally, I think it's the best. And then Quantum of Solace came out.
I think it's like a good like movie for sure. Like for me, it feels like a whole different James Bond.
Totally
universe.
Is.
Like it's not. It totally is. It's like they need to go back to like, and I bet it would be hugely popular because they did that to death, I think, and they've done it for like a longer period at this point. It seems like than anyone else, right? Just the way that they spaced out these films.
Yeah, I mean Bond. It's been around for a long time. I just don't. Even with the new ones, I mean, I am excited to see the new film that comes out this year, but I mean, I've been wildly disappointed in Spectre, Quantum. I mean, Skyfall was good, but it's almost like they're running out of Bond material, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like Bond can, we can start doing reboots. Like,
well, why not?
I mean, you can't go around making a movie called Octopussy in 2021, but
But like, you watch Moonraker, and they steal a damn space shuttle off of a 747 midair. It's like that's not how it works. But guess what? I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like the villain has to, and that's what like was so dope about Casino Royale. What was so dope, even with Skyfall, like the villain, the plots have to be diabolical, right? Like that's what also makes them so good. It's like even like when Kingsman came out, Kingsman was super cheesy.
I like that.
Kingsman was also super entertaining.
Kingsman had that work, man.
That's what I'm saying. Kingsman was lit. The second one was good, and then there's the prequel is coming out this year. It was delayed from last year, The Kingsman, and it's like they're not afraid to go over the top, and it totally worked. So I don't even think Bond would have an issue going to that, but they went so serious. You know what I mean? Starting with Casino Royale, that it would be a whole nother change of direction to kind of go back to kind of what we were used to growing up watching. Because Pierce Brosnan's.
That's my James Bond.
About Pierce Brosnan. It was, Die Another Day and,
dude,
all them.
Come on.
I mean, those were great.
Goldeneye.
Halle Berry. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Halle Berry.
Respect.
So, that's just my 2 cents about Bond. My dad and I are big Bond fans. We talk about Bond all the time. So,
My dad and I are big Halle Berry fans.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of funny, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. You guys don't have to elaborate on it, but just think of the irony of it, like in our current situation. So I think Tomorrow Never Dies, the one with Halle Berry, I'm pretty sure that was the one where the media tycoon, they didn't know the word was social media yet, but he was like some newspaper owner that invented some satellite social media and like was able to destroy the world. And that kind of like funny given the current circumstances with like how big and like powerful any of these media companies and like newspaper, like it's like, well, maybe they weren't, maybe if they keep going, maybe they will get a satellite that could fry us out of orbit.
I'm looking at it. I just searched it. So he wants his new empire to reach every country on the globe, but the Chinese government will not allow him to broadcast. Carver doesn't take
Thank you, China, of course.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then it says doesn't take no for an answer, and then he uses media empire to fuel flames of war between the Western world and China.
Wow.
Interesting.
Prognostication.
I don't know.
What do you know?
I don't know. Made me think about that just now, but it was like, what year was that movie? 97.
97.
Oh,
Ian Fleming.
Wow. Well, that didn't take long.
No. What have we done?
Take long at all. Well, maybe everybody should go back and rewatch some of these old.
Yeah, no, I got to go back now. I'm about to get the whole thing on iTunes now. Yeah, exactly. Maybe we shouldn't be taking diabolical plans from films and trying to adapt them in real life. You know what I'm saying?
Some kid that was like in high school at that point was like, huh.
Yeah. And looking at the timeline,
that could work.
That's about right. Yeah, I mean, looking at the timeline, he's of age.
He's in Silicon Valley as we speak. He's partnering this podcast to delete it. That's funny.
Yeah, we're all gonna.
And they said it couldn't be done.
Yep. That's too ironic. This year there's a lot of great. I sent Daryl a link. Like we're kind of talking about cheesy action. Mortal Kombat, the game has a special place in my heart. The lore of it, but like that was a movie I saw with Waterworld in the double feature at a drive-in when I was like 6 years old, and it just stuck in my. So like I have a really irrational love for that movie, and even though I know it's terrible, and they're finally making a reboot of it again with like proper effort, it seems like, in good intention, and it's coming out like on HBO Max in a couple months in like April.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just saw. I wish that they dropped a teaser.
It's coming, because the movie comes out in April, so I'm sure.
Oh yeah. But still, I mean, don't just drop the photos. Like, let me see some action.
No, dude, they did have whatever that video was that.
Oh, the supercut. It was a supercut.
There's like 2 seconds of.
Yeah. It's showing Sub-Zero with pulling out the ice blade. Yeah, the ice sword.
Well, yeah. I like the way that they made Jax look like it looks pretty legit. Everything looks legit, and like I'm not looking for realism. I'm not looking for Christopher Nolan when I watch Mortal Kombat. Okay, folks, I want a ninja that controls ice. Okay, and a 10,000-year-old monk that controls electricity.
Yeah.
And a guy that turns into a dragon with a sweet mullet. That like I'm not looking for anything other than that.
Well, if you think about the original live action film that came out when we were kids, I mean,
that was huge though when it came out.
That was pretty great. I mean, look, even like obviously production value, it's not going to be what we're going to get today. You know what I mean? But I still thought. I mean, looking back, I just recently watched some clip of it.
I got it on Blu-ray.
I mean, it's still amazing. Like, it's still an amazing Mortal Kombat film.
Annihilation. A whole different story.
Yeah.
Still love it, but that was like, whoa, this was intentional. This was like,
oh yeah. I mean, like you said, I still love it. You know what I mean? We grew up in the era of Mortal Kombat stand-up arcade games. You know what I mean? Like Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2. So for us, it's like seeing that on the big screen and to this day is still going to be the best.
Huge.
You got that. You got John Wick 4 coming out.
Oh yeah,
Matrix 4 coming out.
Well, yeah, and they're just calling it Matrix, which is interesting. And
I just feel like it's something that doesn't need to be redone. Like I feel I don't really.
Is it a reboot or is it a continuation?
I don't. I guess it has to be a continuation because Keanu Reeves is in it. So it's like, I mean,
they definitely did not end it well.
No, I mean, to me, the second movie is probably my favorite. The first is
they could have ended it after the second one and just
totally.
Like they should have just made a really long second movie, but I think the studio was like, no, we got to milk the shit out of this because we got him under contract.
But you also have to they also well, yeah, they kind of did force you to watch the Animatrix, which was the anime. It
was awesome.
Show that they created to go along with the movies.
Do you remember the game Enter the Matrix?
And Enter the Matrix was amazing
amazing game.
But it was like, if you didn't know about the Animatrix, then you didn't really get the full scope. I mean, the Animatrix filled in a lot of the holes that were left by the trilogy. Understanding how the world became the way that it was, what happened, what was happening, what happened afterwards. How did we get to this point? And a lot of the Animatrix talks about what's happening right now in 2021 as well. It's actually a very timely, animated series for someone to watch today, let alone when it came out. I guess it was the early 2000s because it came out after the first film, which came out in 99. So I wish that there was more depth in a way to the trilogy. Still love the trilogy. Probably one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. First R-rated movie I saw in theaters, as an 8-year-old was the first Matrix. So my dad was like, we're going. I was like, all right.
Go.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we're going. And I was just, I think that was the first time I saw a titty. You know what I mean? So it was great.
I remember my older brother went and saw it, and it was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then of course I just waited. This is what you used to have to do to some of our younger listeners here in the Everyman Podcast. I had to wait until the film came out, on VHS, and then we could rent it. And then at a sleepover, we'd watch it, and we were like, but it was like 14 months later,
Mm-hmm.
But it was, seeing it for the first time.
Oh, it's incredible.
The kung fu,
oh my god,
the action, stuff
the
trying to
wire
hit me,
action,
the iconic scenes, the red pill and the blue pill.
That was one of the first DVDs I got. I watched that a million times.
Oh yeah,
that and Commando.
Commando was pretty tough as well.
I'm not even kidding. I sound like a crazy person. I used to put it on every day after school and just sit there and watch Commando.
That doesn't sound too out of the the two.
I would do other things. I'd be playing with playing with Transformers or whatever. But I just loved that movie for some reason.
But I feel like we all had a movie or a couple of movies. Like for me, it was like Small Soldiers. I used to watch Small Soldiers a lot.
That still holds up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Small Soldiers still holds up pretty well. But but movies back then, I think also because without social media, there was still the big hype of going to the theater, the marketing, the trailers.
That's what we're losing.
Takes away from the pageantry. It really does.
Everything's like this. I understand it. I'm kind of a part of it, or part of the problem.
Yeah, but I think it's going to ebb and flow.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
going to be a market for dude, whether it's automobiles, leather chairs, LED lighting, in this economy, in this country at least, there's a market for the highest end experience for whatever crazy shit you're into, And I think you're starting to see that with like I said earlier, the barrier of entry to filmmaking, plus people now out of work or, maybe have more time on their hands. And then, you know what, why don't we just try it like this? And then you're going to have new, stuff that you didn't even think was going to happen because all of the different components that we're dealing with right now that we've never had before. And you're going to have maybe instead of a big, maybe you don't pack 500 to 1,000 people. I've been in movie theaters, dude, like midnight at, AMC for Batman, there's 1,200 people in there.
Yeah.
That shit's probably over.
I just don't see it. I don't know.
But there might be some club atmosphere where there's I don't know, you 36 people and you pay $100 and you get dinner and drinks and it's a long night thing. And maybe you see a new movie and then there's I don't know, Back to the Future afterwards or something. But people are going to figure out how to make it an experience and then it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think traditional movie going is not going to be the same. And especially with the way that HBO, Warner Media, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount is now coming out with Paramount Plus, which is owned by Viacom. So CBS All Access is also now Paramount Plus, which is super confusing. But then you have the movie theater companies who are basically struggling for air, and these distribution companies are sorry, but streaming is everybody. What do you want us? And I don't really blame these distribution companies for going the route that they're going. Movies obviously are still being made. Tons of content is out there. Everybody wants access to content without having to go to to a public space like a movie theater. So.
Well, and I think the other thing is these movie theaters invested heavily in being the only show in town, and it's kind of what do you expect them to do? Not take more of the profit and do it easier and have low overhead? But I think from the theater's perspective, they look at it and they're like, well, we've been paying these out. I'm sure they're exorbitant, licensing fees to just play, Independence Day 2 or, whatever Hollywood film, that's got to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they recuperate that by selling tickets to view it. That's a ticket to the license to watch it. And then buying your Coke and your gummy bears or whatever. That's how they make their money. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going there. But they're like, wait a minute, you said it was worth $500 million a year, And
that's understandable. But it's also, going through this pandemic made a lot of people realize that if you were not ready to make the adjustment with the way things are going, then, what I think the pandemic really did was accelerated what was already coming. You know what I mean?
For media stuff, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, for entertainment and for media. Even for my line of work, I was working, remotely with my home studio long before the pandemic. There was a lot of voice actors who weren't. who were still going in the studio, especially if you lived in Los Angeles, you could throw a stone and hit a studio. So, you know, they didn't really need one. But with the pandemic, everybody needed one. You know, companies wouldn't work with you if you didn't have a home studio, if it didn't sound good, and if you didn't have the remote recording capabilities to work with them. So for a lot of voice actors, it was a huge scramble to be able to start working remotely. Same thing with a lot of just businesses. You know, the businesses that adapted are the ones that are still around, you know, and it's unfortunate because obviously a lot of people lost business, and, you know, it's horrible, but it's just unfortunately the way that it is. And the movie theater was not immune to a lot of the changes that we were seeing, and with the ability to just watch everything right in the comfort of your living room. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, they're not going to not want to get all that profit, you know, they're going to want to recoup as much money on those films as possible. And if they don't have to go through this middleman anymore, why not? So
think about this for a second. Think about how we're talking about the distribution companies, right? And big ticket Hollywood movie companies, movie theaters tried to sell you an experience to get you together, right? That's what it was. It was the experience that brings you together. Big blockbuster. You got all these crazy surround sound seats that rumble and jiggle and all that shit. And now distribution companies say, you know what? Let's sell you the experience that keeps you apart from everybody. Yeah. Right. So now the reset button is going to be for these, you know, movie theaters or whatever to get it back. Okay. Press the reset button. How do we sell the big ticket item? How do we sell that big movie experience, but still keep everybody separate? And Brother Jay, we talked about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Fucking drive-in movie theaters, man. Yeah. I guarantee that shit's going to restart, man.
They're going to come back.
That's what I mean. It's
I'll go pay, because you know what? Me and my buddies, you know, my fiance will load up the Jeep and we'll go hang out somewhere for 8 hours and watch 4 stupid movies because we'll just be hanging out, you know? And it's like with your friends, but they've just got to, like you said, adapt and adjust.
Yeah. And there's actually a drive-in not too far from where I live here in New Jersey.
Delsey Drive-In?
Summer. Yeah.
Have you been there?
And I have. Not before last year, before last year, but not last year. Tried to get tickets to go last year, but it was sold out basically all summer. Anytime we tried to get tickets, couldn't get them. And they were showing newer films, which was part of the draw. I also think that people still want the movie experience, like
yeah, definitely
the theater experience. Like I know I do. I miss going to the movies. I grew up. I'm an only child. So for me, when I was younger, our thing was on the weekends, we'd go to the movies. That was our thing. I'd hang out with my folks. We'd go get dinner. We'd go to the movies. That was our thing. And I miss going to the theater, sitting down, getting my popcorn, getting my soda, getting my, chocolate covered almonds, if they even have it. So, but that, and it's that experience of the movies, the movies, the sound, the big picture. And yeah, it's nice to be able to watch stuff in the comfort of your own home, but there ain't nothing like watching something on the silver screen. There just isn't.
I think also the thing, not to throw stones because I enjoy pro wrestling, but there's this perspective that the quality, I think, across the board in Hollywood is not what it used to be. And you can get as good, and in most cases now better, at home, Hulu, Amazon, whatever, Netflix. And I think they got to get that magic back into theaters starting with the films. Like the films have to be what they, oh my God, dude, you go see Gladiator, he chops this dude's head off with 2 swords. Oh, I got to go see Gladiator now. There was that, that was a thing that it's just not going to happen anymore.
Well, I think that was what Tenant was supposed to do. It was supposed to be the blockbuster to kind of solidify the cinematic stamp on the importance of theater, watching movies in the theater. And I think that this is a good segue to get into Tenet, because I know you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. What is it? Because I gotta get on it. It's on my queue up there.
It's it's a film about time. Not in the sense of interstellar time, but in the sense of like time being not something that you go through, but maybe something that you come from. Does that make any sense?
Blowing the mind, baby.
I don't want to ruin it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
don't
wanna
spoil it for me. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
You got me. That makes me think. If you're saying I should watch it, I'll check it out.
Hey, I'm a storyteller. You know, my job is to teach.
Yeah, you tease the story. Very the lead.
Open the door.
It was interesting. It is one of those films where you're probably gonna have to watch it twice.
Well, it took me many watches of what was it? Inception.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I was just about to say, is Inception? Is it kind of like that? Kind of like Inception, a little bit.
Yeah.
Inception elements.
Yeah. It's got there's a lot going on. I'll be honest with you, there's a lot going on, but the concept is really interesting. It's a very interesting concept. I would say it's kind of like like I said, it deals with time. Like Interstellar dealt with time. Interstellar is one of my favorite flicks. Big Christopher Nolan fan. Memento, Shutter Island.
Love Memento.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't even know about Memento.
Yeah,
Memento is a special movie. You know, obviously Shutter Island, Inception, The Dark Knight. It's amazing. I was just watching it the other day. And honestly, I'd love Christopher Nolan to do a Bond film just to see how it turns out. May not be perfect, but I'd be happy.
I wish he would have done one more Batman movie.
I don't blame.
It's not Ben Affleck's fault, by the way, because I like Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne.
I thought he was fine.
It's not him.
Yeah,
again, the problem was, don't show me all this badass shit of Batman beating up criminals and then that be it.
Because you don't have to.
Like, yeah, but I want to see Batman. But I do want to see Batman beat up criminals.
No. I'm saying like in a trailer for a Batman movie, you don't need to show me that much. Like we
know
know.
What I'm talking about. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
The warehouse fight. They gave show you the whole thing.
Now the warehouse fight was pretty sick. Like I thought that the warehouse fight was pretty sick. The action was awesome.
But I wanted like 3 more of those.
But the thing that bothers me just about the DC films in general is that there seems to be a lack of diabolical villainous. You know what I'm saying? That one storytelling. They're
afraid to get too dark. Everyone's afraid.
I'm cool with it, man.
But we're okay because we're adults. And the problem is we are enjoying content that is largely marketed to children, and they're the ones buying it 2-to-1. You know, they're the ones that are going to Disneyland.
But take the Justice League animated series. They, even like Young Justice, they dive into some topics that are very mature. There are a lot of mature topics, a lot of mature situations. I'm like, you guys could give us this in films. But the thing that I always loved about the Justice League over like Marvel, because growing up, I really wasn't into Marvel like that. I was into the Justice League. All my childhood. The villains were always from another world, always from another planet. They were always OP. So it took some crazy miracle for them to be destroyed, you know? You want to see the good guys struggle. Like, you don't want it to be a cakewalk. Like, yeah, Superman is obviously OP of OP. Wonder Woman's really OP. And don't get me started on Wonder Woman 1984. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I saw it.
I felt like they could have.
I'll watch anything with Godot in it.
Again.
Me too.
I just think, man, maybe give me 25% more Wonder Woman on screen. I know that's a crazy idea, but I thought this was a goddamn Wonder Woman movie, and
there was no action.
There's nothing in it.
No action.
What is going on here?
I fell asleep.
The car scene. Okay, I've seen this in 5 Fast and Furious movies, but dude, yeah, they look. If these individuals mishandle the momentum of Joker, they truly do not deserve to hold the license. In my opinion, that's my hot take.
Yeah,
just
Joker
how
was.
Do you fuck this up going forward. You know, like just make a rated R Batman movie with him and let Todd Phillips do it. Like, get the Frank Miller stuff. Let's go dark as shit. You know, they're talking about bringing Michael Keaton back as the old Batman. Like, he's signed on to do 2 new Batman movies because they're doing the multiverse. Like, there's hope that they could kind of fix it. But
I mean, based off of the trailers, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Robert Pattinson Batman film.
Yeah, we'll see when that comes out.
Yeah,
dude, they're coming out with the Riddler Mountain Dew.
That's pretty dope. Yeah, market that joint. Market that joint.
Sucking that down.
Yeah, I mean, but the way that and my thing is like, let's not forget, Batman is a literal ninja, trained by the assassins from the League of Shadows, Ra's al Ghul's right-hand man. Shit, he was banging his daughter. Like, the man is a stone cold killer when it comes to action. You can't not give me ridiculous hand-to-hand combat with Batman. Like,
savage.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta see it. Yeah, I gotta see it, because Batman doesn't have superpowers. But his superpower is the fact that he's the most richest, most deadliest ninja on the planet, with all the resources at his fingertips. You know what I mean? So you got to play on that. Like,
I'll tell you, I don't know how you can go wrong with that, man.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I think that's a perfect way. This has been a great conversation about movies, about life, about everything that's going on.
Batman.
EJ, what's the best way to keep up? Because obviously, we know you're going to be back on here for part 3. We got so much to talk about. Maybe even a watch along one of these days. We didn't even talk.
Yeah, we need to do a watch along. That'd be sick.
Watch along.
No,
I'm
hell yeah, dude.
I watch. Oh no, I'm all for it. I watch all different types of TV shows. I'm currently watching The Expanse. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's a sci-fi film. I'm on season. I mean, I've been watching it, but season 5 recently dropped, so I'm catching up on that. I'm watching. I'm in the process of finishing Young Justice. I'm on season 3 of that. So I still watch a lot of animated shows. DC, I just watched Castlevania. Super lit.
Dude, it's sick, right? It's sick, right?
Castlevania.
You watched the Godzilla one?
No, not yet. Not yet. I gotta watch. Oh, what did I watch?
Did you see that, Darren?
This is
on Netflix. There's 2 of them.
Is that the? Hold on. Is that the one where the Shin Godzilla one? Is that the one you're talking about?
I'm not sure. I haven't watched either of them yet.
Okay.
I didn't want to.
No, I have to look into that.
If you haven't seen the Mortal Kombat one.
I saw the Shin. Oh, the Mortal Kombat one was ridiculous, bro.
Wait, is this like fairly new?
You get on it.
Well, you
came out last year. It was like Mortal Kombat Scorpion Legends or something like that.
Word.
It
ridiculous.
It retells kind of the story from Scorpion's perspective.
Oh, I'm about it,
dude. It's amazing. I remember I sent it to. I was like, dude, I need to watch more anime like this. And he's like, brother, that's the most violent anime I've ever seen in my damn life.
Yeah. No. Honestly, like people. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine about the Star Wars Clone Wars. Okay, like I'm like swimming in Star Wars right now. Everything, Mandalorian, I'm all about it. A Clone Wars. I was watching Rebels, like just listening, listening to podcasts about the lore and like Darth Sidious, all that type of stuff. And I'm talking to him about like Clone Wars. Man, I binge watched the Clone Wars, and I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, this is one of the best shows I've ever seen. Not even talking about live action or like Game of Thrones is one of my favorite shows.
Oh yeah.
I'm like
Red Witch
is up there. Like
I put Clone trying to get me to watch that again and give it another try.
What, Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Bro, Red Witch with the necklace on, of course.
Here's the thing though, Jay. Like with Game of Thrones, because also I'm real big into Game of Thrones. Like once the source material went away, the show struggled because the writers, they're really not good writers. I'll put it that way. Dave and Dan were just not good. George R.R. Martin wrote enough content for there to have been 13 seasons with 10 episodes apiece. That's how much content there was. And they ended up,
They fucked the ending.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It really was. Like, the ending was
raw.
Terrible. Like, it was terrible.
But
I understand the hesitation to dive in. I don't know how far you've gotten on the show, whether you finished it or not.
Like 20 minutes into the first episode. So.
Oh my gosh. Bro,
Hold on.
5 seasons. Unbelievable, dog. Unbelievable. Writing, the deception.
I've put it on the record.
The end.
I'm going to find out if she's really...
The level of incest in that show.
Game of Thrones. A lot of incest, a lot of sex.
Incestuous.
But the thing about Game of Thrones that makes it, in my opinion, so special, it's the amount of characters that are in the show and like how much attention to detail there is to each character. Like, it doesn't make sense how there's that many characters and they can all work. Like, it's not too much. It makes sense.
Including the baby dragons.
Oh, man. Like, everything. The whole storyline, first 5 seasons I think it's the seasons 1 through 5. It's the best show ever. Like I think it's
and
one
then
of
I'll
the
just
best
read.
shows
I'll just read the Wikipedia for the rest of the show then.
Yeah, or just do the audiobook.
Speaking of which, real quick, I got to ask you this question. So, Mandalorian, you watched it all, right?
You talking to me?
Yes, you.
Yeah.
Okay, I just need to know, what did you think when that man came back?
You can say it. I said spoiler alert.
I was gonna say.
Okay, we're good. What do you think about when Luke came back? What like that last episode? Come on, man.
I thought that.
Come on.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who are the EPs, and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau is the writer of the show. I think that when the last episode of the season came out, they basically looked us fans in our eyes and said, "We love you. We're gonna take care of you.
Yep.
And this is what we brought you. That the universe is in our hands, and we got it." That's basically what they told me.
We're so
watching the last episode of the season.
Yeah.
We're so sorry.
Dude, like,
so sorry we dragged you out of your homes over 9 years.
In his
kill
prime,
all of your childhood favorites.
Bro.
EJ, Luke,
for no purpose.
in his prime.
Because we never really
saw it.
Like that.
We never saw it.
And a lot of people don't realize that scene, and I don't know if it was intentional. I feel like it would be. But it basically lines up almost scene for scene with the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah.
When he was coming and just destroying people. Just awesome. Like it made me realize that like Disney is going all in with the production value. Yes. And as a fan, it's like that's all we want.
Because I'll tell you what
we want. You know what I mean?
And like I started out this conversation this time last year, my fiance and I, we were in Disneyland. We spent a lot of money in the Star Wars land. And you know why? It wasn't because of Kylo Ren and whatever, you know. It was because I wanted the goddamn nostalgia. I wanted to go build my lightsaber and make it like red like Darth Vader. And I wanted to see the Millennium Falcon. Nobody was there for that. And I think stuff like that, money talks, and they listen. And I'm, you know.
Yeah. And they are giving us, 10 shows? Ahsoka, Bad Batch, Obi-Wan.
Right. Yep. I'm fine with pretending those movies I don't have to ever go back and watch them. You know, they can exist, and now I know how they all die.
Yeah, well, it is going to be amazing. But I will say, you know, if for those of you out there listening, if you are big into Star Wars and you haven't seen the Clone Wars and you're hesitant because it's animated, watch that show.
Agreed.
I'm begging you.
Agreed.
It fills so many holes from the prequels. You learn about Anakin, who Anakin really is, Obi-Wan, what Qui-Gon Jinn meant to both of them, the difference between what Anakin meant to Obi-Wan versus what Anakin meant to Qui-Gon Jinn. You know, Obi-Wan was like Anakin's brother, and there's almost a problem with that because when you're someone's brother, you're more willing to let them get away with stuff than if it was their father, who Qui-Gon Jinn kind of looked at Anakin that way. You know what I'm saying? So like, but you don't understand that subtext, that context. Until you go dive deep into the Clone Wars and
they said you're too old.
Check that out. Yeah.
Too old? That's why. It's the subtext.
You're never too old, man. Like I don't want to grow up. Like I'm getting older, right? As you know, as an adult. But I mean, I'm still watching cartoons. I don't care.
No,
like,
nothing wrong
you know
with
what I mean?
a
I could care less. You know what I mean? Like,
give me a good cartoon.
Yeah,
EJ, bro.
Good animation, man.
You know, what's the best way for everybody to keep up with you and what you're doing?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Enrique J Media. I post my voiceover stuff on there. I'm not huge into Twitter. I just rather go on Instagram. And if you want to listen to the superhero stories, anywhere you listen to podcasts, it's Superhero Stories with EJ. Can't miss it. It's Picture of Batman. So there's that.
Can't wait. That's going to be in the show notes. And as is tradition, as the official voice of the Everyman, EJ, why don't you sign us off today, brother?
Oh, word. You're listening to the Cosmic Canoe with DC, Justin Vigil, and your boy, EJ.
Dude, that's
I was waiting for the effects to come in on the back. In the back. That was.